Hello everybody, and today I'm going to be doing a preview a little bit with the Steeler game that's on Sunday. First off, we're going to go through the injuries, and for Minnesota we have Barr's questionable with a hamstring, Bradford's questionable with a knee, and Rhodes is also questionable with a hip. Now, Zimmer said he expects all of them to be available for the game. The only one that really concerns me here is pretty much like there's only two out of the three concern me more, which are Bradford and Rhodes, because Rhodes will obviously be our top guy against Antonio Brown in this game. So if he's even dinged up a little, that's a problem. I think that could be a real issue. And then Bradford, that's not any knee, that is the left knee that's been torn up twice now. So, and it was injured enough to warrant a MRI. So there is that. And then as for the rest of the injury report, we have Tremaine Brock was out with a groin injury last week. It looks like he'll be back after some days of practicing. He was a full go the last 3 days, so I assume we'll see Tremaine Brock. So at least the secondary gets stronger in that aspect of everything. Isadora is going to be back. Whether he's inactive or active is yet to be seen, but he is going to be healthy at the very least. Then the next two are Terrence Newman and Emmanuel Lamur. So Lamur is only a guy if Barr can't really go, I think. That really matters there, because I think getting Tremaine Brock back might be better than having Terrence Newman, but that's just my own personal opinion on everything. To me, Terrence Newman's getting too old, and I don't know why the Ted Ginn matchup was even a thing, but that's a thing, apparently. So I feel like he's more of a reserve safety at this point, and I think we can use him like that now that we have Tremaine Brock in the fold. So I'm a little bit more worried about Bradford than anything on this, because even he's expected to be a full go, but being a little dinged up in going to Pittsburgh, it's their home opener. It's kind of like, it's not. That could be a real issue later on. As for Pittsburgh, backup tackle Gerald Hawkins has been ruled out. Vance McDonald, what I assume would be a decent part of the offense if needed, because otherwise it's all Jesse James really at tight end. Vance McDonald is more of an athletic tight end that they traded for from the Niners. So it's kind of their replacement for Ladarius Green, even though they never really had Ladarius Green, if you think about it. The big one here is Stephon Tuitt, who's questionable with a bicep injury, which we know he tore the biceps and shortly after signing a huge contract extension with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think that's kind of the game changer right there, depending on if he can go or can't go, because we know what our line is, I think, but we know it's nothing fantastic. I just think the Saints aren't that good. Cam Jordan's good, but outside of that, there's not too much to look at that. I mean, they have some nice pieces, but like right now, it's just Cam Jordan on that front. So to me, it's kind of like this is our real test here. So I almost want Tuitt out there just so we have a full thing that we can say we blocked that if we win. So I kind of want Tuitt out there in a way. And then J.J. Wilcox is also questionable with a concussion. I would anticipate him going, as he did have some limited practice. So I think he'll probably go, but I can see it going either way. That would just add some safety depth. Speaking of safeties, the other safety who is out for a day or two with an ankle injury looks like he's going to be a go. So, and then so is Bud Dupree. Bud Dupree also looks like he's going to be a go. So for the most part, it's really just Stephon Tuitt that they're really going to miss if that's who ends up being out of all this. Which I think would be a huge thing if he was out, because then our offensive line might be able to actually really run the ball. Because we saw what happened in the Saints game when we can push some people around, which I think is the real thing that we did with this offensive line. We didn't see this last year, but now it has an edge to it in the run game. So I would expect us to try to run the ball a little bit more. I think I don't think Sam Bradford's going to throw for 350 yards every game. Like, that was nice, but I don't think it's really going to happen. But moving on to the actual game itself, last week against the Cleveland Browns, the Pittsburgh Steelers ended up generating 21 points, 290 yards of total offense, with 255 of those being from the passing game. So, which means they had 35 rushing yards. And I view this as we might be able to put in a similar game plan that we put in with the Saints. Because the Saints, what we ended up doing was limiting all the runs so then we could make them one-dimensional in their passing. So I imagine this could be kind of a similar thing where maybe we give up some yards to these receivers, but hopefully, like when it comes to the red zone, you can't run, and then that really starts to take a toll. I think that might be a similar game plan because Le'Veon Bell looked rusty after not having any time with the team during the offseason, OTAs, training camp, what have you. So I would assume a similar plan for that when it comes to the offense. Like you probably have Xavier Rhodes follow Antonio Brown. Jermaine Brock, I assume, would be in the slot with Trey Waynes on the outside, which means we get some of ourselves some Trey Waynes on Martavis Bryant, which would be that's an interesting matchup, I think. Which I know what the numbers say for Trey Waynes, which were like he allowed 9 catches on 10 attempts thrown at him for 92 yards. But I believe the deal was he actually was thrown at a lot more, like during when we were playing more of that prevent clock management thing, kind of on defense. And then obviously 52 of them came on that one pass that he grabbed, but the dude caught it anyway. So take that as you will. I don't think he played all too terribly, because I think that's a stat that's kind of overblown, if you will. So yeah, and going to the defensive side, which is what we care about with this offense being what it is, they allowed 237 total yards to the Cleveland Browns. They allowed 180 passing yards with 57 rushing yards. Whew. Now, what they like to do, what they don't like to do is actually move their corners around. Because I believe Joe Hayden had 41 snaps and they were all exclusively on the left cornerback spot. And they don't like to move people around. So I think we might be able to do what we did last week with Adam Thielen or Stephon Diggs, kind of move them around, see what we like with our matchups, because I believe that was one of the things with the Saints, that they really liked Thielen in the slot that game just because of how he matched up with their slot corners. So with that being said, maybe you want, with how this pass rush could be with Bud Dupree, TJ Watt, possibly Tuitt, it's loaded up front. So you might want to put Diggs in the slot so we might be able to get some more quick passing in there, because I know some people would think we just got away from quick passing. This deep passing is good. Sometimes I think that could be the way to win this game, honestly, because we don't know how much time we'll get. Like I think you need to try to push the ball down the field still, but obviously if you can't, you need to go back to that quick passing game because otherwise you're just not going to win. You're putting Sam at risk. It's just a whole bunch of issues that you could be getting into. And what I would like to see, I would like to see some consistency in the first half from Dalvin Cook, because I know he had 127 yards, but all of it came after halftime. I would like some success pre-halftime so we don't have to throw all the time. So I'm just hoping that maybe we're not so one-dimensional in the first half. That would really go a long way here, I think. And I really do think the mismatch could be with the corners and the receivers that we have, because I do think our receiving corps are kind of underrated for the most part with Diggs and Thielen. I know Treadwell is trying to get involved in the offense, although I'm not entirely sure how involved he's really getting, because he obviously one catch. Jarius Wright had one catch, but the one catch made a difference in the fact that Treadwell 7 yards, Jarius 21. So I do think we're going to look a lot to whoever they decide to play in the slot, and Kyle Rudolph for our receiving targets, though, because if they like to play their best cornerbacks on the outside, so that means the guy in the middle there on the wide receiver specifically, is not going to be the best corner on the field for them. So if we can maybe get some mismatch, obviously Kyle, if we wanted to move him there for a little while, for a bit, like every once in a while, they like to do that sometimes, like in the red zone. They like to run the corner routes with him. That's what we saw last week at the Saints game. So yeah, I don't know if we'll end up winning this game though. I'll be honest with you. This is the first true test for this Viking offense, I think, as the Saints have been historically bad for the past 4 or 5 years on defense. So I'm gonna say we end up losing this game though. Overall, like I do think we can put up a fight. Well, I'm gonna say this ends 17-14 in favor of the home team there. Tell me what you guys think. I will be back in the coming days with a review recap kind of video with this. And until then, I bid you farewell.